Randy was an atheist who had studied at Northwestern University and spent much of his time trying to disprove the existence of God. During one phase of his life, he worked as a hospital server, and it was there that he had a special encounter with a 7-year-old boy who was nearing the end of his battle with cancer. When Randy brought food to the boy, the child asked, "Do you believe in Jesus?" Randy honestly replied that he did not believe in such things. However, he comforted the boy, assuring him that if there was a heaven, he would surely go there. The boy, with innocent yet unwavering faith, was not discouraged. He told Randy, "I will pray for you, and you will go to heaven too." That moment seemed small, but it became a significant part of Randy's spiritual journey. He never expected that a child's prayer could have such a profound impact on his life. Later, during a near-death experience, Randy saw this scene again while standing beside Jesus, realizing that even at his most atheistic point, God had been silently watching over him, waiting for his return. This encounter was not just a memory, but a pivotal moment that helped him find the faith he had once rejected. During his near-death experience, Jesus guided Randy through key moments in his life. He relived memories from his childhood, a difficult time marked by frequent hospitalizations, loneliness, and bullying due to his weight. As he witnessed these scenes, Randy wondered why God had allowed him to endure such suffering and why he wanted him to revisit these painful moments. But then, he came to an important realization. God had always been with him, even in his darkest times. When Randy asked, "Were you there with me?" Jesus simply smiled and said, "I have always been with you, just waiting for you to come back to me." Jesus not only showed him his childhood, but also the path he had chosen as an adult, the path of atheism and the rejection of God. Randy had once tried to disprove all religions, but now he saw himself from a different perspective, a perspective of love and compassion. This experience made him understand that life is not just a series of random events. There is always a loving hand guiding us, waiting for us to recognize the truth. During his near-death experience, Randy relived a crucial moment when he was still an atheist, working at the hospital, and meeting the 7-year-old boy with cancer. When Randy brought food, the boy innocently said, "I'm going to die, but I will go to heaven." As an atheist, Randy simply comforted the boy by saying that if heaven existed, he would surely be there. But the boy then asked, "Do you believe in Jesus?" Randy answered that he did not, yet the boy was unfazed. He just smiled and said, "I will pray for you, and you will go to heaven too." Standing beside Jesus and witnessing this moment again in his near-death experience, Randy suddenly realized its deep meaning. That little boy, despite his young age, had an unshakable faith, and his prayer had become part of the journey that led Randy to God. Randy used to think that everything in life was just coincidence, but now he understood that God always has a plan for each person. Even when he had turned away, God had been watching over him, using special ways to bring him back. During his near-death experience, Jesus guided Randy through a life review. He did not just see past events, but also felt the thoughts and emotions of the people he had interacted with. This made him realize that life is not just a collection of passing moments, but a deeply connected chain of events that reflect how people treat one another. One of Randy's fears was facing his past mistakes. He did not want to relive his worst moments in the presence of God. But then he realized something important. God was not there to judge or punish him. Instead, he looked at him with unconditional love and understanding. It was Randy himself who judged his own actions when he saw them from a different perspective. What changed Randy's perception of God completely was realizing that he had never left his side. Even in his pain, his lost moments, and his rejection of faith, God had always been there, patiently waiting for him to return. Like a loving father, he did not come to condemn, but to save and embrace. Randy realized that people often see God as a cosmic policeman, always ready to punish them for their mistakes. However, the truth was entirely different. God did not want to impose rigid laws, but desired for people to live in joy, love, and peace. This near-death experience completely transformed Randy's view of life, death, and faith. He understood that all the good things in life, love, joy, adventure, come from God. And most importantly, God longs for each person to find true joy in their connection with Him. During his life review, Jesus showed Randy not only the key events of his life, but also the emotions and thoughts of those he had encountered. This made him realize that life is not just a series of isolated moments, but a profound web of connections that reflect the way people treat each other. At first, Randy was afraid to face his past mistakes. He feared that God would judge him for all the wrongs he had done. But as he went through this experience, he realized an astonishing truth. God was not there to condemn, but to love. He looked at Randy with compassion, and it was Randy himself who felt the weight of his past when seeing it from a different perspective. One of the most shocking revelations for Randy was the realization that God had never left him. Even in his suffering, confusion, and outright denial of God's existence, he had always been there, patiently waiting. Like a loving father, he did not impose rules, but simply wanted his children to find joy and true peace. People often view God as a strict cosmic policeman who enforces laws and punishes those who fail. However, Randy now saw that this was not true. God does not seek to control or punish, but rather to love and connect with his creation. This experience changed his entire understanding of faith, death, and the meaning of life. During his near-death experience, Randy realized that God was not the judgmental deity he had once imagined. In the past, he had pictured God as a cosmic law enforcer, waiting for people to fail so he could punish them. But standing in God's presence, he felt no anger or condemnation, only love and compassion. God had not come to judge, but to save and lead people to the truth. One of the most astonishing realizations for Randy was that God had always been by his side, even in his most painful and hopeless moments. As a child, Randy had endured a difficult upbringing, illness, bullying, and deep loneliness. Later, he became an atheist, determined to disprove God's existence. Yet during his life review, he saw that God had never abandoned him. He had always been there, watching over him, waiting for him to return. The most important lesson Randy learned from this experience was that life is not just a series of random events, but a meaningful chain of connections. Looking back on his life, he saw not only his own moments, but also the thoughts and emotions of those he had interacted with. This helped him understand that even the smallest actions can have a profound impact on others. Randy also realized that fearing God's judgment was unnecessary. God did not want to make people feel ashamed or guilty. He wanted them to learn and grow. When we face our past, what matters is not avoiding or fearing it, but embracing it with gratitude and understanding.